These are the 12 best Brad Pitt movies, ranked. Across his career, Brad Pitt has walked an incredible line. On the one hand, he's been the epitome of an A-list Hollywood celebrity, starring in major blockbusters and putting all his considerable charisma up on the screen. But he's also worked with incredible indie directors and fascinating filmmakers to build up a body of work that has considerable breadth. From the all-out cool of his 90s movies, to phases of introspection and playing against the Brad Pitt image, he's proved a magnificently malleable performer through the years. But which Brad Pitt movies stand tallest? Team Giggle and Gossip gathered together to break down his greatest films, the ones in which he takes the wheel and drives us wherever the story needs to go, ones in which he becomes a strange cog in a much bigger machine, and the ones we can't stop quoting all these years on. 1. Legends of the Fall, 1994. Legends of the Fall is a dramatic film with a reasonable runtime that feels like a lifetime. Brad Pitt plays Tristan, one of 3 brothers to a single father, living in the Montana wilderness in the early 1900s. We watch these brothers live through heavy losses, deep love, true betrayal, and war. With his flowing golden locks, mathematically symmetrical face, bright blue eyes, and seemingly effortless physical shape, it's easy to see why he was so seductive to unsuspecting audiences. Pitt gives a wonderful performance playing a brother in pain, further confirming that it sure helps to be attractive, but it won't make you into a leading man. It feels like this role was written especially for Pitt given how easily he fits into the part. 2. Seven, 1995. Seven tells the classic story of a young buck detective who is partnered with a veteran on his way out, but put David Fincher at the helm of this well-worn tale, and you get a much bleaker version. Brad Pitt plays Mills, the aforementioned hard-headed rookie who is new to the homicide detective game. Tracking a serial killer obsessed with the 7 deadly sins, he and Somerset, Morgan Freeman, encounter horrors even the Days from Retirement detective has never seen. As one of the best David Fincher films, it is, of course, very dark, also in a literal sense. Pitt's performance is one of his best, giving a genuinely flawed and rough nature to the character, especially in the popularly referenced climax. Without getting into spoilers, the end scene is without a doubt some of the best dramatic acting from Pitt's whole career, masterfully emoting what you might expect one to feel in such a situation. 3. 12 Monkeys, 1995. Maybe it's a coincidence, but Pitt yet again features in Mindbender film with a twist. A sci-fi mystery from Terry Gilliam, convict James Cole, Bruce Willis, is sent to the past to discover what caused a virus to destroy the majority of human life. One of the greats from the vast list of timeless sci-fi flicks, Brad Pitt's character Jeffrey Goins is instrumental to the film's greatness. Playing a scheming rambler in a mental ward, we get an indelible image of Pitt that you can't shake, which says a lot about how well he performed the role. Determined to show an authentic reality to his character, Pitt trained with a psychiatric coach, trying to make a distinction between patients who are mentally ill and those who are suffering from mood disorders. Either way, the film does a good job making the audience question what is real, simply boosted in success by Pitt's commitment to a more artistic role. He received an Oscar nomination and a Golden Globe win for his performance, and it remains one of the best Brad Pitt movies to this day. 4. Fight Club, 1999. Likely the most culturally defining role for Pitt, Fight Club was a short-lived whoop for critics upon release, but later gained a huge cult following. Based on Chuck Palahniuk's novel, some young and aggravated men decide the best way to solve their problems is to kick the crap out of each other and reject social standards. Other than causing social unrest in the frustrated young men of society, despite the story's moral resolution in the end. The movie has some great writing and an awesome twist ending. Pitt's performance in the film is somehow charming, disgusting, sexy, and terrifying all at once, commenting on the social expectations and outlooks of young men in a sometimes very meta way. Whether you love or hate this film, it's guaranteed to be continually referenced for a long time to come. 5. Snatch, 2000. Dia like dags? Snatch is the kind of movie you might expect to see from director Guy Ritchie, especially if you've seen his catalog of gun-toting crime movies that always feature some thick accents and a few broken teeth. Speaking of and due to the accents, our Guy Pitt is, yet again, a huge highlight of this movie, and the main source of comedy despite being a side character. Pitt plays a bare-knuckle boxing gypsy named Mickey, a name you only know because Turkish Jason Statham mentions it a lot. Mickey's gypsy accent is hysterically over the top and impossible to understand, and that is used in the film to help con others out of their belongings due to inevitable misunderstandings. Maintaining his wiry and chiseled physical shape from Fight Club the year before, Pitt is definitely used for eye candy but is hands down my favorite part of the movie. 6. Ocean's 11, 2001. Pitt is not the lead of Ocean's 11, but the movie wouldn't work at all without him standing right next to George Clooney's Danny Ocean. This is Pitt in full-on movie star mode, and it works because he's one of the most charming screen presences in the history of cinema. Ocean's 11 is also an ideal movie if you want to catch Pitt doing what he does better than any other actor: eat anything and everything he can while performing his dialogue. Ultimately, what makes Pitt stand out in Ocean's 11 is that even amidst a sea of incredibly charismatic actors, he's still someone who is impossible to pull your eyes away from. 7. Troy, 2004. Bringing the story of the Trojan War to the screen is not an easy task, but it sure helps to enlist the talents of director Wolfgang Petersen to see it through. A staple tale of love, war, gods, and men, Troy is an epic that everyone should see at least once. What's a great highlight of this movie? Brad Pitt playing apex warrior/demigod Achilles is definitely among them. His dedication to the role was helpful in securing it, dieting, and exercising religiously for 6 to 8 months before filming began. After getting into godlike shape, Pitt reportedly lived in a centuries-old hut in Mexico for a time to understand the loneliness of the character. Since he was a perfect fit for the role, it's only natural to see him as a Greek warrior to this day. One of the more impressive things about this performance is that he and co-star Eric Bana declined stunt doubles for their epic face-off, but instead agreed to pay each other money for each accidental hit. 8. Inglourious Basterds, 2009. Taking a high rank among the best Quentin Tarantino movies, Inglourious Basterds is another film where he plays with history in a different way. In this war movie it's World War II, as the film tells the story of a fictional group of Jewish American soldiers who infiltrate Nazi-occupied France to eliminate well-known leaders. The leader of this squad is the bold and brazen Lieutenant Aldo Raine, Brad Pitt, or Aldo the Apache, who instructs his men to be cruel to the Germans in an Apache fashion by collecting scalps. With Tarantino's writing at work, the film's entertaining dialogue and scene choices complement Pitt's swagger in a way never before seen. Provided with a false scar across his throat, and never an explanation as to why, Pitt outstandingly employs the rough and tough former Tennessee moonshiner wit and scraggly voice to the best of his potential. Like the film or not, Pitt's performance is as impressive as it is darkly hilarious, assuming you're a fan of Tarantino's style of filmmaking. 9. Moneyball, 2011. One of the best baseball movies of all time, Moneyball tells the true story of Oakland Athletics general manager Billy Beane and his crazy plan that changed baseball forever. The A's are in dire financial straits and just lost their best players because of it. Following a mass exodus, Billy Beane, played by Brad Pitt, enlists the help of Yale economics graduate Peter Brand, played by Jonah Hill, and uses advanced statistics to recruit new players. It's a momentous and sincere telling of a true event in baseball history, and writers Aaron Sorkin and Steven Zaillian make the dialogue crisp and genuine. Differing from just about any role he's ever played, Brad Pitt's performance is the icing on the cake. His ability to portray the real stress of balancing a seemingly insurmountable task with the difficulties of being a father is impressive. 10. The Tree of Life, 2011. In Terrence Malick's deep-thinking drama, described by One Catholic magazine as a philosophical exploration of grief, theodicy, and the duality of grace and human nature, it's not got a lot of laughs. Pitt plays the father of 3 boys, whose frustrations in life are taken out on his kids. It's one of the actor's most measured and moving performances, as a loving man who can't stop himself hurting those closest to him. And it came about by chance. A producer on the film, Pitt stepped in when Heath Ledger had to drop out because of illness, just a month before his tragic death. 11. Ad Astra, 2019. Pitt can be hugely entertaining, but he's also proven in the later stages of his career that he's a wonderful actor. In Ad Astra, Pitt strips away all of the frills and delivers a stripped-down, emotionally vulnerable performances that is one of his most moving to date. The movie follows Pitt's Roy McBride as he's assigned a space mission to retrieve his father, who is floating somewhere out there in the cosmos. It's a movie about fathers and sons, and about the feelings between two people that are almost impossible to communicate. The movie definitely has a slower and more existential bent, but if you're looking for a performance that proves how emotive Pitt can be, look no further than this performance. 12. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 2019. In what is definitely not the best Quentin Tarantino movie, Brad Pitt finally gets the chance to team up with Leonardo DiCaprio in a comedic fashion. In a land where history meets fantasy, two characters, Rick Dalton, played by DiCaprio, and Cliff Booth, played by Pitt, are plopped down into 1969 to accidentally deflect one of Hollywood's worst tragedies. Cliff is Rick's stuntman in the film and is also his driver, house-sitter, handyman, when they're not working on a film together. Cliff gets into all kinds of situations where he witnesses glimpses of real history in motion, and he also meets Bruce Lee in a fairly disrespectful and unnecessary sequence. While this film has some not-so-great moments, Cliff is an incredible character with some great and humorous dialogue that really carries the film along. For his performance, Pitt received an Oscar, apparently still charming the socks off of Hollywood elites. Brad Pitt has consistently delivered outstanding performances throughout his career, solidifying his status as one of the finest actors in the industry. Pitt's versatility and talent shine through in every project he takes on. Whether he's playing a complex character or bringing charm and charisma to the screen, Brad Pitt has undoubtedly left an indelible mark on the world of cinema.